So here we have WolfQuest running on the Steam Deck, which is a pretty nice bit of hardware here. This is a new device that Valve has just released that basically is intended to run almost any game in your Steam library that you can buy on Steam. Valve was kind enough to send us a dev kit, this sample hardware, in January, so we could test the game and see what we needed to do to get it running. And to our surprise, the game ran pretty well on it already. But as we did a lot of testing of it, we realized that our controller support had a few gaps and just needed a lot of refinement to be able to be completely usable without a keyboard. And also, the Steam Deck has multiple types of input. It has these thumbsticks, it has 2 trackpads underneath the thumbsticks, and then actually has a touchscreen. So it has 3 different types of input, and managing which is active and controlling that took Andrei a couple weeks to get all that worked out. But Steam Deck support is now in the new patch that we released yesterday, and so here's how it looks. The screen is somewhat small, and so we found right away that the default sizes of pop-ups and such was a bit too small, and so we've always had in the game this scaling slider, and so we basically stepped that up. So a mid-range point now is a little higher on the Steam Deck than it is on PC and Mac, and if it's still not quite big enough, you can scale it up even more to make that text more readable on the screen. In terms of graphics quality, it's pretty good. We set it to a default on beautiful graphics. That gives you a pretty solid frame rate of 30 to 40 FPS. Switching it to Be Fantastic does bring that down a bit, so it's just really a judgment call if you want to go for getting a few more frames or getting a little better graphics quality. The Steam Deck was definitely not something we were planning on. We kept our eye on it since it was announced last summer, but it wasn't until we got this dev kit that we could really try it out and see, is this a viable thing for the game? And very fortunately it was. It took a little more time for Andrei to get things working out with a lot of the inputs and interface stuff than expected, but still pretty modest effort to have the game running on this device. That's a quite different situation than mobile and game consoles, each of which requires a great deal of work, many months of work. And so again, as we've said, right now we're focused on getting the game finished with the saga, and that's going to take quite a while there in itself before we turn our attention to any other platforms. But the Steam Deck came along and was pretty low-hanging fruit to get it running on that, because it's not really a new platform, it's just a new hardware deployment for Steam games. Much of this work also improves controller support in general if you're using a controller with the game on your computer. If you use the controller, let us know how that's working, and if you happen to get your hands on a Steam Deck, let us know how it's working for you as well. So I believe the Steam Deck is quite back-ordered right now. They're still ramping up production, but it does look like a cool option. People who want either a relatively cheap gaming computer or people who want to play their Steam games on the go. And so we're just very glad to have WolfQuest now running on the Steam Deck.